With Hit the Road releasing later today, I figured it'd be a good idea to share some tips for players who are new to Hit the Road. And here's the original description that came with it. It says, grab 3 other players and help Quinn get to the radio station to spin her song of the summer in this road trip adventure. Quinn travels in a hover truck complete with the mobile storm defense shield, so if you go outside of it, you'll take damage as if you're in the storm. Along the route are 4 randomized objectives, each with challenging gameplay and a variety of upgrades. And we'll take a look at those randomized objectives in a little bit. Get to the radio station and protect Quinn from a final enemy wave. Hopefully you've collected enough traps, ammo, and resources to secure the victory. If the vehicle loses all of its health, the road trip ends, but the players will earn rewards based on the number of objectives completed. You start the trip without your gear or supplies, making scavenging and harvesting a top priority. You keep your trap schematics and start with a few hand-me-down weapons, but weapon crafting is disabled. Weapons with appropriate perks are scattered throughout the route, increasing your chances of survival without your weapon schematics. So you're not going to be able to craft your own weapons. I will show you a trick on how you can find some weapons and Hit the Road, but you will be able to craft your trap schematics. Chests in Hit the Road spawn tier appropriate weapons, traps, and resources. Unlike previous events, Hit the Road uses power levels instead of storm shield defense progress to match players to the correct difficulty, bringing more balance to the group. If you're knocked out, you will have to wait until your team reaches or completes an objective before you can respawn. There's going to be event quests that's going to give you chances to earn tickets, and when you search items, sometimes you can find cassette tapes, and that'll also help you earn tickets. So that's the original description that came with it. So like I mentioned before, you're going to encounter 4 randomized objectives, and then at the end you're going to have a final enemy wave where you're going to have to protect the van for 6 minutes. So when I was looking through my old live streams, I could find a total of 9 objectives. Like I said, you're only going to see 4 of them every time you do Hit the Road, and the ones you'll see are random every time you do it. But for this first one, you're going to have to build a tower. It's very similar to a radar tower. It doesn't matter which materials you use. And I believe there's a total of 36 pieces, and once you finish building it, you're then going to have to search nearby for a satellite dish. I believe it'll spawn on the mini-map for whoever built the radar, and once you pick up that satellite dish, you're going to have to put it on top of the tower. The second one's pretty straightforward. You're going to have to find 16 blue glow. I found most of them outside of the storm shield, and I found them mainly on the sides of the road, but for this one you're just going to want to have somebody build around the van and defend it while the other people go look for blue glow. For this next objective, everybody in your team is going to have to find a record, and you should be able to see it on the mini-map, but it might not show right away. If yours doesn't show right away, then one of your teammates should show, and once they pick up theirs, then yours might show. But they're all going to be in this little area. Just tell everybody in your team to keep an eye on their mini-map or the exclamation mark, and you only have to find a total of 4 of them. This 4th one is pretty easy. All you have to do is build a metal bridge, and there are some pieces underneath the bridge that you're going to have to build as well, and it does have to be in metal. But yeah, that one's pretty easy. For this next one, the van ends up overheating and it stalls. It's going to give you a minute to build around it in order to defend it, and when that minute is up, you're going to have to defend it for 4 minutes. So just try to build around it, upgrade those walls, and take out the husks that come close to it. There's also a mini boss objective where you're going to have to run around and destroy mist pods before they spawn in mini bosses, and there's quite a few of them. Just use your mini map to look for the mist pods. You can tell whether it's above you or below you by looking at the arrow that's on the mist pod icon that's in the mini map. The arrow points up, that means it's above you. If the arrow points down, that means it's below you. And if there is no arrow, that means it's on the same level that you're on. But yeah, there are quite a few of them, so you may want to have multiple people trying to destroy these mist pods. Another thing you could do is to go ahead and have those people run down early before this objective actually starts, to give you all a little head start, because once the mini bosses spawn in, they're a little bit tougher to kill. So you're going to want to destroy those mist pods as soon as possible. There was another objective where you don't really have to do anything but just defend the van while it drives through, and it does drive a little bit slower, and there's also a bunch of objects that are floating in the air. But for this one, all you have to do is just defend the van while it drives slowly through that objective. This next objective is called Pit Stop, and this is very similar to the Overheat objective. It's basically going to stop. It's going to give you 1 minute to build around it, and then you're gonna have to defend it for 4 minutes. So it's very similar to Overheat. And the last objective I could find while looking through my old live streams was the Rescue Survivors objective. And just like with the Mist Pods, you're gonna wanna have multiple people running to rescue survivors while having 1 or 2 people stay back and defending the van. So those are all the objectives I could find while looking through my old live streams. Alright, so next up we're going to go over some tips, and the first one we're going to take a look at are loadouts. Now here's the original loadout I used when I beat it the first time, and this is the loadout I used to beat the Impossibly Spotless quest, which is the hardest challenge to do and hit the road. But there have been quite a few abilities that have been released since then. You could also use the Happy Holidays team perk with Dragon Scourge. And we did switch our loadout around a little bit, but yeah, you don't have to just use Blast from the Past. You could also use Happy Holidays. Another really good team perk I would recommend using is Blakebeard's Stash. And obviously you're gonna have to change the loadout a little bit in order to activate that team perk. And you don't have to use Dragon Scorch as your commander with Blakebeard's Stash. You could use like another melee hero. But again, I haven't really used that many loadouts. The main one I'm used to is Dragon Scorch. So that's the one I would use it with. And I think you could also use the minigun loadout. And this is the same one that we use for dungeons. I haven't beat Impossibly Spotless with this loadout, but I'm pretty sure this would be a good one to use as well. But again, this was the loadout that I used the first time I beat it. Let us know in the comments which loadouts you would recommend using. Alright, so when you first load in, the first thing you're going to want to do is start farming right away. You should be able to find a lot of herbs around the initial area, especially towards the right. And you're going to want to take those herbs so you can craft some gas traps later. But yeah, as soon as you spawn in, the first thing you're going to want to do is start farming before the van moves. And you'll also want to farm whenever you can throughout the escort. The husk power level will increase after every objective. For power level 140, it went from 140 to 153 to 174 to 192 to 206. The next tip I wanted to point out is how you can make chests appear on your mini-map. So while you're escorting the van, you're going to want to have at least one person farming on the side of the road while everybody else is defending it. And if you ever come across what looks like a map, it should just be out in the open. You're going to want to pick it up because it's going to allow you to see every chest that's on the map, and it lasts for 7 minutes. So that's going to make it a lot easier to find weapons. And the map looks very similar to the pirate map that we saw during the pirate event. So if you ever find the map, make sure you pick it up, and it's going to show all chests on your map for 7 minutes. Sometimes when you complete an objective, you'll get the option to choose a reward, and you and your team are going to have to vote on it. For this first one, you get the choice between increasing the storm shield radius of the vehicle or regenerating your health whenever you're near the vehicle. For this next one, you'll get the option to repair the truck, which restores a lot of the health to the truck, or you can make the truck move faster and play music. And another reward I saw was one that can increase the group's movement as well as their building speed, or you can double the building resources gained from harvesting. Sometimes they'll also offer you weapons, and I'm going to go ahead and show a couple of examples so you can see what type of weapons we got. But I would say on average we probably got 1 to 2 rewards every time we did hit the road, and those are what some of the rewards look like. Now once you've done all 4 objectives and you get ready for the final enemy wave, one thing you should do is recycle everything you don't need, because you'll be able to use those materials to craft traps. You're also going to want to start building before the van even parks to give you a little head start. And there's pretty much only 2 directions they can come from, and that is the south as well as the east. So those are the only 2 places you're really going to have to build. You also want to make sure to put a lobber shield towards the south. As soon as the van parks, you're going to have 1 minute to finish building, and once that minute's over, you're going to have to defend that van for 6 minutes. And I believe the mini boss spawns in like around 1.5 minutes, so you're not going to have a whole lot of time to kill him. But the mini boss can't really deal damage to the van, he can only deal damage to structures around the van. So as long as your tunnels are killing all of the other husks, it doesn't really matter whether you kill the mini boss or not. You can also use defenders during the defense. And here are the rewards that I got after I completed the power level 140 Impossibly Spotless challenge. And that sums up all the tips I'm gonna go over for this one. I'll leave a link in the description to the Impossibly Spotless gameplay if you would like to check it out. and I think we'll stream some Hit the Road on Twitch throughout the week. Anyways, I hope y'all found this video useful, and thanks for watching.